tennis court. I've never been to this club. I have to say it's absolutely gorgeous, and welcome to all of you that are here tonight. Nice to meet you after all these years, Tracy.
Thank you. It's great to meet you as well. I've never sat right on the baseline like this. This is the first time. First time. Right here in Boston.
See if we can hit anything. So, of course, I've been studying up on you all day, and I think probably almost everybody in here realizes all of your accomplishments, but did you realize that, I think it was 20 years ago this month, you retired? You're still a kid.
No, I'm not a kid anymore. I wish I could say I was. Gosh, that's amazing.
That is amazing.
Yeah, I retired too soon. I got to play for about 7 years on tour before I had a lot of injuries, and then I started to come back and was in a car accident in New Jersey, actually playing team tennis in New Jersey, and I was supposed to play a match that night. Was in a car accident, so yeah, I retired too early.
It's amazing, actually, after all this time, you still hold the title for the youngest player to ever win a Grand Slam match. You were 15 years and 9 months, if I have that right. It seems to me, and I could be wrong, that we aren't seeing as young players come up into the pro ranks now. Is that true?
That is true. The age eligibility rule on the women's side starts at 14, so the players are limited to the number of tournaments they can play, 14, 15, 16, 17. There's a sliding scale, so they get to play a couple more each year, and then at 18, it becomes unlimited. And so I think that the young ladies are not getting quite as much experience at a young age, so that's number one. And number two, it's the physicality of the tour. I'm not that big. I'm 5'5", a little bit on my toes, 5'5", and you look at I'm doing commentary. I just got back from Wimbledon.
I know you're at the BBC.
Yeah, Sunday night, and the girls are so tall. The average height is probably 5'10" in the top 100 now. So the physicality of the game, it takes these young girls a little bit more time to become strong enough to compete. And because of that, though, you are seeing a lot of the players on both the men's and the women's side. Roger's still playing it so well, obviously at 32, going to be 33 in a month. Serena's 32 years old. So it's actually lengthening their careers, because you'll see that most of the top 100 are, I think the average age is 26, 27 now. It takes them a little bit longer to peak and to be at their best tennis. So the careers are longer as well. It's really changed in the last decade or two.
Okay, Tracy, you mentioned Serena Williams, and you were at Wimbledon. We all want to know.
Don't ask me that question.
Yeah. What happened?
That was the craziest 15 minutes of tennis that I've ever seen, when Serena Williams was playing doubles for that 15 minutes. And I work for BBC over there, and we have what's called a green room. It's about the length of this court here, and there's about 20 commentators in there. BBC covers every court. It's called a red button, so we have a lot of commentators. And one of the commentators' wives was actually sitting on court one and said, "You've got to turn on court one and stop watching Nadal playing Kyrgios, even though Nadal's losing." He said, "You've got to turn, because Serena has whiffed 3 balls." And so we all started watching, and it was so crazy because she didn't have her balance. Then when she went to serve, if you haven't seen it, you need to YouTube it, because it was just crazy. The best women's server that we've had in the history of women's tennis, and she hit 4 double faults in a row, but they weren't double faults that missed by a foot. They were, in the ground here, and then 20 feet up in the air, and then 8 feet out. So it was really perplexing that she continued to play. So it was a viral illness, so obviously that affects your balance. And but one thing that was just curious for me is that she obviously didn't warm up before, because if she warmed up before, where we spent about half an hour warming up, she would have realized that she really wouldn't be able to compete. So it's obviously Venus and Serena wanted to try to win their 6th Wimbledon doubles title together, but it just didn't work out.
So Kvitova, the shortest in history, final match.
55 minutes.
55 minutes to take over from, I thought that Canadian was a fabulous player too, Bouchard.
Yeah, Jeannie Bouchard.
Eugenia Bouchard. That was
unexpected. Kvitova won in 2011 and beat Maria Sharapova pretty decisively, but 4-3. But you felt like Kvitova was taking over the women's tour at that point. You thought, okay, she's gonna control the top, because she has such big weapons with that lefty serve, which is such an advantage because there are so few lefties. Massive power on the forehand and the backhand, that first strike ability. And she just couldn't handle the expectations after she won Wimbledon in 2011. Barely could win a match the rest of the year until the end of the year in the fall, and got it back together, but hasn't been consistent. And last year, she's known for being a 3-setter. She goes 3 sets frequently because she's hot for 1 set, And then bye-bye Petra, she's gone, balls are flying 8 feet out. Just doesn't have that ability to sustain that consistency. And at Wimbledon, caught fire again. And I'm really hoping that at 24 instead of 21, she has the maturity now to carry through. She's a terrific player, and even though it was only 55 minutes, it was amazing to see that kind of play. I mean, Bouchard is an amazing player, and in my opinion, definitely going to be a Grand Slam champion in the future, but she couldn't have done anything differently because the power was just so immense from Kvitova.
All right, Tracy Austin, they want to get back to matches. By the way, you understand you were at Fenway the other night.
I was a couple of nights ago. It was very special. My dad grew up here in Boston, and he sold peanuts there at Fenway, so it was very special.
Great.
Pleasure to be back. Thank you.
Sir, for Emily Rooney and Tracy Austin.